Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Our first story highlights a sad reality where some people prioritize personal gain over the immediate well-being and safety of their own child. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Mother fails to blame fast food staff for child's accident due to comprehensive security footage. A few years ago, I worked in a fast food restaurant. One day, I brought dinner to a table at the restaurant's garden where an older woman and her grandson were sitting. I had a short conversation with a woman about their order, and while we talked, the kid, who was around 4 or 5, reached for a cup where hot water was. He poured it all on himself and started crying. I went inside to get some towels. I didn't know it was the cup with hot water. I thought he took his drink, which was iced tea. When I got back, the child's mother was also there, trying to take off his son's clothes and screaming that she demanded compensation. She didn't even know exactly what happened. Her child was screaming, and she could only think of money she could get because of the situation. I was panicking and went back inside to tell the manager about the situation and tell her to call an ambulance. She did. They arrived and took the child to the hospital. This is just the beginning. The mother was really hoping to get something for her from that situation, and she decided to get it at all costs. Seeing her behavior when she screamed about compensation while her child was in such pain, I was really afraid that she would blame me for the whole incident. But I was lucky that the only camera in the garden recorded the whole thing perfectly in full HD, so there was no doubt that I wasn't the culprit. The problem was that the mother and grandmother of the child didn't pay enough attention to what he was doing. The mother wasn't aware that we had cameras, so she decided to straight up lie about what happened. First, she told the restaurant's manager that it was me who poured water on her son and that she witnessed it, but she was buying more food at the time it happened and everyone could confirm that she wasn't in the garden. So she changed the story and said that I assured her that the water's cold. Yeah, for sure, I would tell her, who wasn't even at the table, that the cup with the huge note "Caution Hot" had cold water inside. Again, when confronted with the fact that I couldn't tell her that because she wasn't there, she decided to make up another version and told the manager that the cup had no lid. However, the footage from security cameras showed otherwise. Then she said that she didn't order any hot drinks, but the receipt showed that she was lying again. The mother was furious that she didn't convince the manager that she and her son were the victims of fast food employees, but the story doesn't end there. The next day, she showed up again, raging at the fact that no one from the restaurant called the hospital to ask about her son's health, how delusional she was to think that any doctor would tell a complete stranger details of his patient's health. She informed everyone that because of us, her son had a lot of second-degree burns. The main manager was in the restaurant that day, and he was already informed of the incident, so he knew who he was dealing with. The mother was cussing, screaming that he should fire me and that she'll report it to the police and will take us all to court. The manager warned us that maybe I and other employees from that shift will have to go to the police station to testify. The woman even emailed the corporate about the whole thing, but all the evidence was against her, and the corporate's lawyers said that none of us should be afraid of any consequences because it was clear that she will never be able to accuse us of hurting her child. I worked there only during holidays, so I stopped working there around a month after that and returned the next holiday and another one. It was 2 years after the incident when the manager told me that the mother recently had given up trying to get the compensation because every attempt was unsuccessful. The footage from the security cameras was enough to prove what happened, and none of the employees from that day were called to the police station nor court. The petty thing about the whole situation was this mother who was so sure that she'll be able to get a lot of money with her lies. The main manager told me that they would willingly pay for the boy's treatment, but they decided not to after she said so many bad things about me and other employees who had any contact with her before and during the incident. So she was left with nothing but hatred and medical bills. I'm only sorry for the boy who had to suffer so much, and his mother probably didn't even really care, especially that she wasn't able to make any profit off of it. Apparently all she cared about was the money. Why didn't the grandmother, the person sitting at the table with the child, just pick up the iced tea and pour that on the child's burned area? It would have cooled it down immediately and lessened the chance of further injury and discomfort of the child. That's what I would have done. And our second story. My stepmom is too happy to look handicapped, so an entitled lady tries to ruin her life. My stepmom is one of the nicest people you could ever meet. She's also one of the strongest. Before she became my stepmom, she was previously a single mom of 2 kids and survived and beat breast cancer. A few years after she and my dad had been together, she had her foot crushed by a forklift while she was at work. She's now permanently handicapped and can no longer work paycheck jobs. She was really scared that my dad was going to leave her because when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, her boyfriend had left her. My dad isn't that type of guy, and they both decided that they were the ones for each other. My stepmom just had surgery yesterday for her back and will have another one in 2 weeks. This is because when they originally operated on her foot, they effed up the first surgery and ended up damaging her back as well. Despite all this, my stepmom is the happiest and most loving person. I could go on for days about how amazing this woman is. She's loved in the community she lives in, and almost everyone knows her name. I'm about as close to her as I am my real mother. Now cue entitled lady, who I'll refer to as Jerk. My stepmom had just gone to the gym. While she can't do traditional workouts, she finds that swimming is nice and a good way to lose weight while not hurting herself. She had been trying to lose weight and she'd lost a lot in that week, and she decided she was going to cheat a little and get a milkshake from a local dive. My stepmom parks in the handicapped parking spot, as she can legally do, and has her order taken from her car. So far today, it's been a really good day, so she was even more upbeat and cheerful than usual. Sadly, Jerk wanted to ruin that. My stepmom noticed a lady standing behind some bushes, almost like she was trying to hide from my stepmom. She has her window down and she's expecting her milkshake to be ready soon, and here's something really chilling. It went something like this. Jerk: yes, I would like to report a regular person parked in the handicapped parking spot. The license plate is XXXXXX. My stepmom shocked. She takes a picture of the woman, very important later, then goes outside to confront her. The lady sees her approaching her, my stepmom using her cane to help her walk, and bolts it. Like, seriously, you just ran away from a lady with a cane? Well, my stepmom was like, whatever. She was registered as disabled, and the DMV shouldn't have any trouble with false accusation. Sadly, she was wrong. As she got home, after enjoying her milkshake, she was called by multiple different agencies. I don't know all the details about this, but I do know that my stepmom was at risk for losing her car, disability checks, which she really needs since she can't work, and that they're going to open an investigation on her possible disability fraud. So a normal person would be infuriated by this and would witch hunt the lady. My stepmom wasn't angry at all, as she just doesn't have it in her. She instead starts to get her evidence that she's disabled by calling her doctors and insurance to acquire physical proof. She was playing the defensive. I know I'm not great at getting to the point, but trust me when I say it's worth it. When my dad gets home from his job, he works in a prison, and sees my stepmom in tears with stacks of papers and her medical history on it, he becomes concerned. My dad is very rational and often hard to upset man. After hearing this story, however, he loses it. He was probably angry for about 5 minutes until he started asking my stepmom for more details. This is where the revenge starts, even if sort of unintentionally. Neither my dad nor my stepmom knew anything about this lady, but my stepmom did have photos of her from earlier. My dad takes these photos and writes a huge post on Facebook describing what happened and my stepmom's past and how she didn't deserve to have to go through this as well. Now, I said earlier that my stepmom was very popular in the community. This is because she organized charity events, would babysit for free, made blankets for homeless people and people in need, and was always there for a friend. This popularity is what made this a revenge story. People banded together and told them who this lady was. Some even posted her address, which my dad deleted from the post because that's just wrong, and was calling her out. Both of my parents thought this was it, and they'd gotten even in a way that took the moral high ground. But oh, this was just the beginning. 2 days later, while my dad is at work in his office, the sheriff from the community comes in to see him. This was really weird since my dad works out of town in the middle of nowhere. It's a prison. There isn't even an Applebee's out near there. It turns out that the sheriff is Jerk's husband. So he's a sheriff. You would expect him to be respectful and appropriate. Ha, no. He's as bad as his wife. He starts yelling at my dad and cursing him out, claiming it's my dad's fault that he and his family were getting death threats. My dad never intended for the family to get death threats, and he even tried to lean people away from this. Apparently, Jerk has had a very difficult 2 days. She lost her job and even got excommunicated from her church. People had also been protesting outside their house and berating the two. Some people even went so far as to throw and break things. They even had their car stolen and vandalized. It had graffiti on it about how they weren't handicapped enough. Then the sheriff grabs my dad's shirt and claims he's going to press charges and have him thrown in prison for something ridiculous like attempted assault. It should also be known that at the time my dad worked at a female prison. My dad just put on a crap-eating grin and said, "I look forward to seeing your wife in here soon." The sheriff flips his crap and actually punches my dad. My dad said he'd take 1,000 punches from that sheriff if he could just see the look on his face again. Later, my dad presses charges against the sheriff for assault and harassment. Even before the trial happened, the sheriff retired early without any benefits. My dad later decides to drop charges, though, because through balancing work, court, and my stepmom's upcoming surgery, he just can't do it all. He was happy the a-hole paid the price, though, because now neither had a job and both were practically ostracized, all because my stepmom wanted a milkshake. Later, long after these events, they learned that the reason my stepmom had gotten all those calls after the lady reported her was because she used her husband to pull some strings. She went so out of her way to hurt my stepmom. Well, it doesn't really matter now because my dad checked their Facebook page and they'd gotten a divorce. The husband had not posted anything in over 6 months, and the jerk was living paycheck to paycheck while selling some products you'd see on Dr. Oz. The jerk also made a post formally addressing what she did to my stepmom, and she only did it because she looked too happy to be disabled. Yeah, because disabled people can't be happy. In the end, my stepmom and dad lived happily ever after. I mean, at least compared to those two nut jobs. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.